Hola. Hi. Hi. How is everybody? How are you? What's up, you guys? So, last night, I was inside of you. Rock with me,
Stop it.
Haran. Rock
Stop it.
with me. I want to rock with you all night. Dance you into the sun. Now, hi, everybody. How you doing? No, say how you doing, Haran? How you doing?
What's up?
Good.
Good.
How are
Good to
you?
see
That was a quite a show last night. So I see you're kind of
you.
doing a part
Woo!
two.
Listen. It was fireworks last night, and I wanted to address some of the bums that have been in my comments because they are
Uh-oh.
bums. Okay. We got a lot of good comments, but the flying monkeys come out for certain topics, right? We had some flying monkeys in the comments. And, I just want them to know from the bottom of my heart, they can fuck off, right? It's interesting to me how an oppressed people, because these are black men. Oh, wait, let's get the race bell early. Ooh, I'm going to kick some backs in tonight. Okay? Kick some backs in tonight. So let's get this in. Okay, so it's interesting to me, right? In the comments, before we get into tonight's
I'm
topic.
sorry.
Before we get into tonight's topic, it's interesting to me, right? Where an oppressed people, right? And let's keep it 100. If you are not white, or I should say, if you are not affluent white, because poor whites are oppressed as well. Okay.
Yeah, but I doubt if they still would not. They'd never trade places with a rich black man at the end of the day, because when you're poor and white, you still got a shot. when you're rich and black, you're still one mistake away from this shit going completely under.
I'm
So
gonna I'm gonna disagree. I'm gonna disagree. I can't speak for a poor white man, but I'm gonna disagree. I think a poor white man living in a trailer park would trade places with Dr. Dre or Jay-Z. I think he would, or 50 Cent. I absolutely think he would trade places, right? But of
you know
course, we're
what
talking
I'm
about
gonna
an exaggeration, right? Of course.
do? I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get a meth head from around
Mhm.
here, and I'm gonna cut this motherfucker up, and I'm gonna have him be the face behind all of my beats. I'm gonna see where that shit go.
It's gonna go
I'm gonna
far.
see. I'm gonna see where all that shit go.
It's gonna go far. And they used to do that to black music back in the day. They used to put
Like,
white
yo,
people covers.
I'm gonna give him like maybe a good percentage. Like I give
Mhm.
you like 5%. Just sit here and I'm gonna tell you what
But
to say.
I don't want to act like here's the thing. Tonight's going to be complicated. Let's not act like being black isn't lucrative as well. Being black in
Depending
this
on
country is lucrative.
depending on the
Being black in this
situation.
country is lucrative. Okay? Let's
Again,
not act like
depending
it's
on the
not.
situation.
Racism aside, being black in this country is quite lucrative. Quite lucrative. To the point where, according to certain communities, people pretend they're black to get a hand up on other people. Let's not pretend we don't hear that. We hear that
Well,
constantly. You're pretending. Hold on. Let me finish my point. You're
okay.
pretending to be black so you can capitalize off of being black. Eminem is only rich and famous because he capitalized off of a black genre. Are we going to act like those conversations aren't had now? Are we going to
Absolutely.
act like Kardashians, a $1 billion franchise, the Kardashians? Are we going to act like people haven't said that their claim to fame is big asses, big lips, and big tits like black women? Are we going to pretend that those conversations don't happen?
Absolutely. However, there's a flip side to this. I'm not saying that you're wrong. You're absolutely right. But there's a flip
Mhm.
side to it, because the
Mhm.
community that's being imitated, rather than have an issue with it, they feel rather honored They feel rather honored that they're being imitated by by someone who is of privilege. Hence the cookout invites, the sense of endearment, the eyes wide open when black men say like, yeah, that white girl got a body like a black woman. See, it's a
until
different when they associate this thing and they throw some, cocoa in the mix. All of a sudden, it's better than the original it was before.
okay, until that other ethnicity or that white person starts making money.
Absolutely. Then all of a sudden,
Then it's no longer right. Then it's
appropriation.
like I spoke about before, the white girl that's always in Africa dancing a jig in the middle of the African kids, right? I've seen a lot of those videos. There's always some blonde girl dancing in Africa in the middle of the little African babies, all dusty and shit, right? We've seen a lot of those videos. That's so cute. She invited to the barbecue. Yeah, oh my God, that white girl can dance. That white girl can dance. Now, the white girl dances her way all the way to pop culture, doing hip hop, gets famous doing hip hop, starts donning cornrows, and then where does the conversation go then? Right?
It goes. It's a situation where now it's, oh, I feel that they're erasing black people. Well, you helped out with it. You helped out. You weren't solid gatekeepers. Because trust me, other races are very protective of their culture. Now, please present the question for the night, because I got some things to say that's going to rub people the wrong way.
Before we do that, I wanted to be clear. You flying monkeys in my comments, you Tariq Nasheed dick riders and bussy boys, I don't give a fuck about you. Yo no tengo pelo en la lengua. I say whatever the fuck I want, however the fuck I want. Now let me address the Latino losers in my comments. You fucking lames. Fuck you as well. Okay? So the Latins are mad that I don't have a Puerto Rican man or a Puerto Rican husband. So I tell you what, bitches, you go get you a Puerto Rican husband since you're so concerned. Since you're so concerned about my fly, because it seems like blacks and Latins, this shit is a thorn up their ass. Both black and Latins, this is a thorn up their ass. It bothers them. This is going to stay here. Okay? I'm going to date who the fuck I want. I'm going to talk about who the fuck I want. And y'all ain't going to do a fuck about it. Okay? Now, let me remind you, there are 50 million plus YouTube channels on the planet. Isn't that amazing? That number is astronomical. 50 million plus YouTube channels on YouTube. Bitch, if you landed on this one, shut your chicken wing hole and enjoy or scroll away. I don't know how many times I have to say that. You don't dictate the content on my channel. However, you do have the option to scroll your stinking ass away. That's what I do. When I'm on a channel and I don't like I don't like this show, I'm going to change it. But what you're not going to do, and then we can segue into the topic, Haran, what you're not going to do, okay, is be the oppressed who is now the oppressor. That doesn't work with me. I am not you, okay? I am not you. I'm the bury me in the ocean, bitch, because I'm not anybody's subordinate.
Did you say you fight back? Yeah. Did you say you fight back?
Yes.
This is an argument, or this is I've never cared. I've never cared. I date who I want. I like who I like, and I've never had that pressure put on me. But I do know that there is an element, even in the white people community, that stay with your own kind. Those people. But I've never cared. I don't have that same pressure as I assume the black community and Latino community may have. But this is what I want to say. Not only are there 50 million YouTube channels, in the United States, you probably have a good 10 to 15 million single Latinas that may date other Latinas. So why are you worried about Jen? As if you had a chance anyway. That's
right. And that's what's funny to me. It's like, what kills me is how a people or a person cries that they're oppressed all fucking day and then thinks that they can oppress somebody else. That's what's funny to me. Like, you should see them in the comments. Don't talk about, they use the word don't as if their keyboard is power. And I call it pseudo power. See what happened with Zuckerberg and all these people? They really gave these motherfuckers pseudo power. So they think they're going to jump in the comments and be like, don't talk about these. Date Puerto Rican men. Do you date black? They don't talk about us. Don't talk about Puerto Ricans. And they really type it. Like, I'm going to be like, oh my God. Okay, Siobhan. Okay, Pookie. Okay, Carlos. I'll talk about what you want me to talk about straight away. Like, they really think that, first of all, motherfuckers, y'all are the oppressed in America. You're at the bottom of the totem pole. You have zero power, zero zilch, nothing. All you have is your keyboard. And in your mind, you think there's real power there. And I tell you once again, with all my heart and soul, from the pits of the hell that is my heart, fuck off and enjoy the show.
Look, nobody has, no, let's just talk about it. You know, like, nobody has a problem with anyone getting involved in Black issues if they benefit from it. I mean, come on now. How many times when these Black issues come up in terms of police brutality and so on and so forth, people are demanding that their white friends get involved and say something in their privilege and shit like that. You know what I mean? You can't police when a certain sect of people are allowed to speak on your situation, because if they're allowed to help you, then they're allowed to critique you too. They're allowed to fucking critique you too. It's like somebody coming to my fucking house, a family member coming to my fucking house. Every time I see him, he wants fucking money. And I say, hey, man. And on the third time he shows up, they're like, hey, man, why the fuck are you always at my house asking me for money? Are you terrible with money? What's going on in your life right now? And then she's like, oh, man, yo, man, you see, you just like everybody else. No, someone's asking you. The person that you consistently ask for help is saying, hey, maybe you need to get your shit together. Do you need me to help you do that too? But no, you want to constantly just have a funnel, a safety net that you can run to. You know what I mean? Anytime shit goes wrong. And before we continue with it,
and we've seen it here.
I just want to say one thing right quick. Mm-hmm. I will admit, perturbed Latin woman speaking in Spanish is rather sexy. However, it's the dialect of it's the tone of the language. Wait,
did I speak Spanish?
Yeah, you said a little Spanish. And it's just, I think it's just the energy of a certain foreign languages. When a person is angry, it sounds good. Like if you get cussed out in French, it sounds pretty sexy. Like, you know what I'm saying? That sounds pretty fucking sexy. As opposed to if somebody, you know what I mean, cussed you out in Indian, that shit would sound like, what the fuck? Like,
listen,
you know what I mean?
I like the Japanese. I like the way the Japanese men sound. They mad. Arigato.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
they do sound authoritative.
When I went over to Spain, Europe, and Germany, when I was in France, and I knew I was having trouble figuring out. I said, which language sounds sexier or sweeter? It ended up being Catalonian, which is like almost a mixture. It was like a mixture between French and Spanish. I mean, that's what it sounded like to my ears. It was like, oh, it's their own language, up in Barcelona. But yeah, it was sweet sounding. I was like,
yeah, and that's what Lily said. They don't want to lose one of the fine Latinas, even though she supposedly hit the wall. Right? It's like that's another. I hit the wall, y'all. The wall's been hit. All right, go find you some.
Men literally put their penises in walls. Ironically,
they do.
Ironically, that's the whole irony of the term "hit the wall," because men literally will hit a wall if given the opportunity. So it is what it is.
No, but it's crazy. It's just it's hilarious to me the authority that they speak with. Like it's like, oh, that must be a nice fantasy to think that you can say something to a stranger and they're gonna move. Like it must be, it's like it must be nice there where you live. Where you think you're going to say something to somebody, they're going to move. It's so cute. I think it's so cute. Don't talk about Puerto Ricans. Motherfucker, you got the same amount of hours that I do in a day. Go start a channel and go talk about it. So I'll even lend you a flag. I got a couple of these. Go talk about Puerto Ricans on your channel. I talk about what the fuck I want to talk about. Y'all don't have to like it. Y'all can go. Y'all can go. Anyway, so to the topic. No saint. You quickly came in and said, hey, no, I don't, it's not, no, it happens in white communities too. It's like, stick to your own kind. And I think Chad could vouch for that, right? Stick to down there in the Floridian. Stick to your own kind, blah, 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 right? However, is there a note of stick to your own kind so you could funnel the money back into your community so we have all the money? Because that is what we're talking about tonight. Last night, we spoke about Dr. Umar Johnson's appearance on the Joe Budden's podcast, and he was going back and forth with one of the hosts of the podcast, Ish. And one of the topics that's a thorn in Dr. Umar Johnson's side is interracial dating. He speaks about it a lot all over the place. So he confronted Ish and was basically like, are you a bunny hopper? Now, me knowing Dr. Umar Johnson, he already knew that. But he had to set the little trap, right? So he asked Ish, are you a bunny hopper? AKA, do you date white women? So Ish walked right in. And then it was on and popping after that, right? So Ish informed everyone, yeah, she's white or Portuguese white, right? All hell broke loose after that, right? So now he's a bunny hopper. So the reason why it's a thorn in Dr. Umar Johnson's side is because he feels if a Black man dates white or outside of his community, he is helping other communities flourish versus his own. Okay? That is his argument. Hence, the thumbnail this evening, because I know people are probably wondering, like, what is Jen talking about? Should your dating preference benefit your community? That is the question tonight. I don't care where you're from, what ethnicity. You could be black, white, Asian, Indian. I would love to see somebody Asian. I would love to see somebody Indian, because I'm rather tired of Black, white, and Latins on this channel, to be quite honest. Super sick of them. Like, super sick of them. Really, truly, madly, deeply. Is there anyone else out there? Are there any Asians? Are there any Indians? I'm calling out to you. I'm sending out a fucking bat signal. Please, Lord, is there any other race or ethnicity on these fucking machines? Because I'm so tired of talking to the same belly aching motherfuckers or the ones that are in fucking denial. Is there anyone else out there? If you're out there, I'd like to talk to you about your communities and dating preference issues. So apparently, this is a big, and I'll pass the mic, this is a big issue in the Black community. We've heard Black women say when Black men get rich, athletes, celebrities, and what have you, they go get themselves a white girl, right? Kanye West, you rapped about it. It's a huge issue that when Black people become affluent, you know what I mean? People in society, they go get themselves another ethnicity, a Latina, a Brazilian, an Asian, a Filipino, a white girl, right? And Black people, many, some not all, because believe it or not, there are Black people that don't get in these fucked hard conversations because they're too busy making money and raising their families with their Black wives and their Black husbands. Believe it or not, they're out there and they're doing great. But for the other demographic of fucktards, these are the conversations that we're having. And it's a light night, so why not, right? So in the Black community, it's a big deal if you go outside of your community. So the question tonight is, should your dating preference benefit your community? And is that question exclusive to the Black community? I'm Latin, been Latin my whole life. I've never heard that in my community. No saint. I know in the white community, there is a lot of racism. So usually the sentiment is stick to your own kind, right? But it doesn't come from a base of stick to your own kind so we can keep the money in the community. That I've never heard. I'll pass the mic. Karan, I know you have a lot to say on this topic tonight. First of all, in the immortal words of Dr. Umar Johnson, are you, sir, a bunny hopper?
No. I have stuck my
Okay.
penis in a white woman before, but I am not per se a bunny hopper. A bunny hopper would have to say like, "Hey, I have done this consistently." You know what I mean? The gentleman in question who he was speaking to, I won't mention his name because he's not up here to defend himself. He has done it. He has done it repeatedly after being scorned by a black woman. I did not
Who? I
do
want to know.
that.
I say his name. Who?
Ish. He did that repeatedly after, according to him, being scorned by a black woman. I did not
Oh,
do that.
but in podcast.
Yes,
Yeah, he's not here. I've
yes,
invited him.
I did not do it out of spite. I did it
Okay.
merely and strictly out of carnality. I wanted to see if the rumors were true. But anyway.
So okay. So let's get, let's keep it 100 on the block. What's up, E Black in the building?
What's up?
What did E Black said? What did the whites do? What haven't they done, E? So how many, you said you've stuck your, so eloquently and romantic, you've stuck your dick in
One.
oh, because I was gonna ask how many
No, just one.
vaginas have you ventured into?
Yeah, there's just one. Just
Just the one.
just one occasion, this cavernous hole I entered.
Me and Iran have the exact same number.
Wait, what is going on tonight? Let me adjust the headphones.
My brother.
Hold on. No,
Scott's
saying you've only
white woman is a black man. That's a. What's the odds of that? Let's talk about that for a second.
I've literally been with more black women than white women. And more.
What in the plantation is going on here?
I had to think about it for a second. I was like, oh, me too. Yeah.
Look, listen. I saw it as an opportunity to say, hey, have you ever gone to Great Adventure? Have you ever fucked in a hot air balloon? Yeah, I did that once. It's kind of like I did that before, like a cool story, but it wasn't like, like, yo, man, I gotta give me a white girl, man, because them white gals, man, they take care, man. A woman's a woman. If you believe for a second that race, ethnicity, dare I say, even culture, destroys a woman's biological imperative, you're a fucking idiot. You are a fucking moron, Women are women at the end of the day. It just so happens that white women are able to explore their carnalities and do all kinds of wild shit because they won't get judged at the end of the fucking day. Black women and Latinas, they have to sit there and think about their reputation all the fucking time, because if they get branded with a scarlet letter, they're fucked up out here. You know what I mean? White women they can have a scarlet letter, an indigo letter, a black letter. They can be covered in letters and run for Congress. So it is what it is. Let's just call it what it is.
Hit the like button for me. This is going to be a spicy evening. So, no saint, you've only slept with how many white women? One. How'd you manage that all these years? Like, you have to do some serious avoiding not to sleep with a white woman.
Wait. Never mind. I did 2. Okay, I beat Quran by 1. I did. Yeah, some memories are coming back now. Some memories are coming back.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So why?
Why? For me?
No, for no saint. Why don't you pursue white women? What about white women is lack?
No, I was in some. Listen, I dated. I had white girlfriends like in high school. I mean, not exclusive. I mean, exclusively white women, but not for a lack of trying. But and then I was in a long relationship out of high school, and then so yeah, I was in a long relationship, and then once I went in the military, and that's when I met Michelle, who was out in California. And that was another 5-year relationship. And then that's when I met, and then there was the little thing I remembered that was kind of just a friend's sister-in-law that I got with a few times, kind of fling thing. But then I met Eric, and so yeah.
You okay? Because you seem
okay. So let me ask you, Haran. Let me ask you something, Haran. So you say, and I understand the sentiment of, because I'm that type of person, not with sex per se, but I'm the type of person. Oh, I want to say I ate that before, or I want to say I jumped, that thing before. I want to say I swam out there before. I want to say I visited that country before. So I understand the list of like, oh, I just want to have a list of shit I've always done. What compelled you to be like, I want to sleep with a white vagina? Why was that on the list? Because that's not on my list. I'm just wondering why it was on your list.
Well, it wasn't. Well, actually, she sought me out. She sought me out. You know what I mean? Through the fact that she saw I was in a band, playing guitar. You know what I mean? I don't know if it was some sort of Jimi Hendrix fetish. I have no fucking clue. And she was giving me some rhythm in the beginning. At first, I was like, fuck out of here. But she had a nice little shape. You know what I'm saying? She had a nice shape. You know what I mean? And I was like, and there was one night where it was just like.
So it's the groupie thing.
It was just the groupie thing. So it was like, yo, H, I got this new car. Want to jump in? Man, it looks all right. I'm not doing anything right now. Yeah. Clear out the back seat. Let me jump in. So, it was one of those things where it's just like, yeah, why not? But it wasn't this, oh God, it was just some, oh man. Like it wasn't a bucket lister. You know what I mean? It wasn't some shit like that. It was like, okay, man, let me see if the rumors are true. Man. She's around.
I'm hearing a lot of singing. All you need is music in the background now. A lot of singing.
I had a couple of times and you know what I mean? Did a lot of things to her.
I don't know.
And afterwards,
you're still going.
No, I'm just saying. I'm just thinking, like, yeah, and that's pretty much it.
Haran, I don't think your memory's as bad as mine, because as we speak, I start thinking because the first 3 women that I've ever had to mess around with their boobs and everything like that, they were all black women.
I mean, come on. I mean, look, at the end of the day, when this happened, I was heavy in the industry. You know what I mean? There was money flowing everywhere. Then you had some chicks coming to the studio and shit like that. I was barely close to my 30s. So yeah, I'm still full of that hot iron good stuff. I was like, hey, why not? Why not?
Okay. All right. So, okay. All right. So, do you think, when Dr. Umar confronted Ish was basically like we hear a lot of people.
The situation's a little different.
Hold on. He said what people usually say, hey, you can't help who you fall in love with. I just fell in love with her. The other guy we had up here. Remember that whole situation? Hey, I was at a party and she's the one that approached me. So that's what happened. Right? So I call cap on that. I think that you're attracted to who you're attracted to. And you're not attracted to who you're not attracted to. So let's not act like, you know what I mean? That's just, you're looking for a thing first. Right? You literally, I have a preference, right? So in my mind, it's registered. I'm looking for a particular thing first, my ideal thing. Now, if something comes along that's not the ideal thing, yeah, I'd give it a shot. But let's not get it twisted. I have an ideal thing in my head. I have a prototype in my head. We all do. And then we have the ones that it's like, oh, hell fucking no. I have no prototype of that thing in my head whatsoever. White men, dogs, things like that. Right?
Listen, the white woman that I got involved with, she had a nice pair of hips. She had a fat ass. She had a very ethnic body. you know. So I
You
was
see
like
him
that.
trying to clean it up. Not. You see him try to clean it up. Well, she
No,
had an ethnic.
wait. If I'm gonna go down that road, I'm not knocking off I'm not knocking off SpongeBob. Okay, I'm gonna put a blemish on the fucking record. All right, put a blemish on the fucking record.
Did a man just say? Did a man just say with a straight face? Did a man just say with a straight face? He's not gonna put a blemish on his record. All of you. All of you penis
I
holes.
said no. I said if I'm going to put a blemish on the record, it's gonna be fucking worth it. Okay, if I'm gonna do it, it's gonna be fucking worth it. It's like, hey man, I got this fucking cool scar, but damn, yeah, that was a hell of a night.
Can you throw some caps in the chat? Can y'all throw some caps for me in the chat so I can hand them over to Haran right now?
Anyway,
throw some
the point of the matter is this. The point of the matter is this: is that I didn't fall in love with this chick, and you know what I mean? I keep going on and on because I'm trying to remember her fucking name. I'm not going to tell you her name, but I can't even fucking remember her name really right now in my head. But anyway, the point of the matter is it's like it was one time, you know, I had a good time. It was cool. So like, yeah. And I kept it pushing.
Okay.
But however, my ideal at the end of the day, and I've said this on the channel, I will never put anyone above black and brown women. I don't do that shit. You know what I mean? I don't do that. Well, you know, them snow bunnies, man. They take care of a nigga. Like I don't do that shit, man. You know what I mean? Like I think a woman is a woman after Jen had a 3-month period. Funny, I have my 3-month period too. That's usually when a woman's a woman. You know what I mean? She's a sweet lady prior to that probational period, but she becomes a fucking woman eventually, and that's not race, and that's race agnostic. But anyway, continue.
So put the violin away. So so do you think that dating for your community makes sense to begin with?
Well, here's where I might ruffle a few feathers. It's a threefold situation: sociologically, culturally, and biologically. Biologically, you have no debt to anyone who you pick to be with, sleep with, or whatever, what have you, if the intent is to just create another human being, as nature intends. Now, when we're discussing culturally and sociologically, yes, then the situation becomes it shifts deeper into the gray areas, because now we're talking about politics, we're talking about tribalism, and so on. Now, then we get into gatekeeping. Now, are the Rothschilds, DuPonts, and Rockefellers worried about who the fuck their descendants are sleeping with? Absolutely, because it benefits the brand. Now, in the black community, me personally, sleep with whoever you want to sleep with. Personally, I would rather you eventually end up with a black person if we're going to have these discussions about community. If we're going to have these discussions about community building and so on and so forth, it should represent in our actions. However, here's the kicker. I don't think these things are discussed or considered because I don't think too many black people think that there's something worth protecting.
Okay, so do you think that black people are the only ones that think about community that way? Is it realistic? Like, here's how I see it, right?
I know, like, I'm sure Japanese feel that way. I'm sure Chinese feel that way. White people feel that way. You know what I mean? The white people who probably told me.
But again, wait a minute. But again, when you talk about Latins, because I've heard that in my community as well, right? No Saint said, I'm sure Chad is, hey, stick to your own kind. Japanese people, I'm sure they would like, a Mei Ling to bring home, an Asian boy or man, right? They all would. However, when it's done in the black community, it's always synonymous with keeping money in the community. When I've heard that in the Latin community, one time was a fucking dollar discussed. Latins just don't want you to bring home a black guy. They don't give a fuck whether he's rich, poor. I don't want to see him in the living room. I don't want to come out. I don't want to come out with the rice and beans and see that motherfucker on the couch, right? White people, same thing. I don't want no mix. I don't want no half black children cheering up in here, right? But again, it doesn't come from a place of lack. It comes from a place of prejudice and bias and maybe racism, if you want to throw that in. It doesn't come from a we ain't gonna have nothing if you go date that Latino or the white lady. We ain't gonna have nothing, which is bizarre because I think the financial problems in the Black community have everything to do with the spending habits and nothing to do with a Black guy giving it to some rich, making some Latino or some white lady rich. Like, I don't think who Jordan married makes a fucking difference, right? If he had married a Black woman, what would that have done for the Black community in general? Because Jordan ain't hanging where you at. Jordan ain't shopping where you at. Jordan ain't giving nothing to your kids in a community. Jordan don't give a fuck that your kids are going to that bad school and they don't have books and the crime ridden. Jordan don't give a fuck, even if he married a Black woman. So to say keep it in the community, to me, is silly.
Well, if you're going to use that as an argument, then being with someone romantically is not necessarily the point that should be discussed, because you don't have to necessarily be with someone romantically in order for the Black dollar to stand in the community. You just got to buy black, which doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? Like, so if you're not even buying black, if the Black dollar can't stay in the community, then it stands to reason and understand why the Black penis or the Black vagina can't stay in the community either, because there's just no need. Well, excuse me, I won't say need. There's just no pressure to actually build things foundationally in the community. Because first of all, here's my thing. Again, you can't say these things. See, Umar made he made a number of good points, but he made one of the solid points he was making. It was like, if I'm going to build a Black section, if I'm going to build a Black community, yes, it requires economics, but I don't want white economics. I want it to be all Black economics, which is understood. However, how often does that really fucking happen when it comes to the Black community? We always want white economics involved. We're always asking a white person for a fucking check. We're always asking for some sort of white involvement in our upliftment. At what point in time are we really ready to take the training wheels off and really do what we need to do to build our communities? Because obviously, if you trust the numbers, the economics is there. The numbers are there.
Well,
but I'm wondering, here's what I'm wondering. I'm sorry, no, go ahead.
No. What I'll say to a few things, I want to get to what Jen's talking about, but to what Haran just said is, I think the reason, and digesting what you said, is that it all comes down to numbers. And so it's a lot easier for a bunch of whites and in case in San Diego, Latinos, because there's a lot of money there. Your community is going to be a lot nicer. The sheer numbers. Now, I can't move to San Diego. I can't afford to live there. I would have a shitty house, right? So when you're saying for Blacks to come together, you'd have to bring all the wealthy into one spot, and it's just, instead of spread out over the country. And I just think it comes down to numbers. Like Atlanta had a good little run, but from what Lily says, it's not a good place anymore. But and to what Jen is saying, she's so right. Money never came into it. You will find out as a white person, you may think relatives of yours don't have a prejudice or a racism until you bring home a Black person, or until I heard, because I was engaged to a Black woman, that they weren't coming to my wedding. And that was the first inkling I ever had that my set of my grandparents on my mom's side, and they're like, well, I mean, we see it on TV, but this is our family. And I think it's more the whole stupid thing of, the kid, they think about the kids, more kids, it's more relative. Well, they're, you're going to mix the blood, and they're not going to be, I think that in the white community where it comes from. We even see it with Prince Harry and the royal family. They were really kind of, and the royal family, they used to marry their cousins to keep the money. So when it comes to rich people, I think they try to stick together. And when it comes to the poor white people, it's more of a racism thing. It's more of, you don't want to mix the blood type thing.
It's more of a definitely a racism, bias, and prejudice, because I mean the families that are saying adelantar la raza, which means to, improve the race and get more white adjacent, and the people that are saying don't bring home a black person, they could be poor as shit.
Wait. Excuse me? That's a thing?
Adelantar la raza? Yes. It's very popular.
And I've never heard of this shit before in my life. In the Latin community, this shit was probably said around me a few times. I've dated a number of Puerto Rican women, so maybe that a la raza shit was probably said with me in the room a few times.
So I'll say this: it's very popular, and again, you have to remember, I'm a New York Puerto Rican, so we're not, it's more of a melting pot. However, back on the islands, if you're talking about Cuba, if you're talking about Dominican Republic, they are very, very much adelantar la raza. Now, I never heard that in my home, but again, we're New York Puerto Ricans. We're not so hell-bent or like, don't mix, because my father is dark, so we are well aware that there are dark, Latins. But in Cuba and the Dominican Republic, which is strange because I think there are more brown Dominicans than white adjacent Dominicans, they're very much adelantar la raza, which means you already dark, you already brown. Why are you going to go and mate with somebody brown or somebody dark? What you do is you mate with a white person. If you look at Zoe Saldana's family, it's 3 sisters. All 3 of them have white men. All 3 of them. And I have a couple Dominican friends who ended up with white people. Now, is that a coincidence? Or do they have that chip in the back of their head, adelantar la raza? We'll never know, right? We don't know why people do what they do.
Okay. Wait 1 second. Before I miss this. Mm-hmm. So this is very funny, because when we're discussing, same races being involved with each other, the idea of love and people accepting you for who you are, blah, blah, blah. You get these kinds of conversations and so on and so forth. But anytime we start talking interracial, it seems motherfuckers start really talking about what marriage is really about, social mobility. All of a sudden, we really start getting down to the nuts and crannies of what this shit is really about. Because if this really was about love, well, I love this person. Whoa, wait. You won't be able to improve socially. Wait. So we agree that this is what this is. All that bullshit you said about love and finding your person and your one, all that is just some goddamn bullshit. At the end of the day, people marry for social mobility, or people marry for an insurance policy. Men marry for an insurance policy. Women marry for some degree of insurance and also social mobility.
Correct.
I mean, it has something to do with it for sure. What's interesting from what Jen's saying, I mean, that even goes, and I'm only talking from what I know, is even in Colombia they have that. Like Erica's mom, because she was dating black guys and she was like not having it. And then it was a New York guy he was a drug dealer. He's going back.
Chad, are you poor? Because Chad says, wow, I got married because I love my wife. But did you have anything to lose? Did she have anything to lose? I think when let's say you were a king, right? Or a queen.
Right.
You're going to be thinking differently. If you're the Rothschilds, if you're the coach, the Gucci's, you're going to be thinking differently. Right. So let's not pretend that tax bracket has a lot to do with why people get together. Right. A lot of people get together to get help from somebody else. Like, I'm fucked up and you fucked up, but us 2 fucked up. Both of us together could get a little something going. Okay. So what I did want to say, going back to the communities and helping the communities, I would think that the main issue in the Black community is a Black dollar, how easily and quickly it's spent, right? Forget who's dating who. However, let me go further. Isn't it a fact, or am I bugging? I'm so confused when we have these conversations, right? And I always say that in every single community, all of them globally, right? No matter what the ethnicity or race and whatever you want to put under those umbrellas, ethnicity and race, there's an underbelly. I say that over and over and over again. There's a an underbelly, a middle class, okay, you know what I mean? They're different tax brackets. And they never intermingle.
No, they don't.
Right? They just don't. Like people, let's take the Black community, for instance, right? People in the Black community that are broke, people in the Black community who spend, who'd rather buy Jordans instead of invest in a Jordan stock, you know what I mean? Those people are always going to exist, right? Let's go to an Asian community. If you go to Chinatown in New York City, it's dirty, it's grimy, it's Chinese people that don't have a lot of money, right? And then you have communities where Chinese people are doctors and lawyers and scientists, and all their kids are playing violins by age 3 and playing piano. They're never going to mingle with those Chinese people, right? In Chinatown. So what I don't understand, I think the confusion in the Black community is that they really think they are a monolith. Now they say we ain't a monolith, but they think that they are a monolith and they belong with the wealthy Black people, right? And it's the have-nots, because the wealthy Black people know good and damn well I don't have nothing to do with them people over there. My wife doesn't twerk on tables. Right? So they very much know there's a separation. But then there is other demographic that's like, no, the Black community. When Dr. Umar says you're taking money out of the Black community, there are wealthy Black people that are like, we're community. We got plenty of money over here. Less is more. There's plenty of us. Like Jay-Z said, less is more. There's plenty of us. So what community is Dr. Umar Johnson talking about? Because I think the community he's talking about very happy buying the Jordans, very happy buying the PlayStation before investing money. And that is how they want to live, and that is who they are. So why are we pretending that is one big community that's supposed to look out for each other when the rich Asians aren't looking out for the people in Chinatown? They're just not.
Well, there's not that pressure to, look out for the poor Asians when you become a rich Asian. I don't believe so. I've known some Asians in my life, and they don't tell me that the community collectively doesn't come down on some one rich Asian to, hey man, why you ain't building no Asian schools in Asia or whatever? You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's a joke, but you know what I mean? Shit like that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, but they don't have that pressure. And in Black and brown communities, if you get a good job, fuck if you rich, man. Mm-hmm. If you get a good job, you're expected to give back to the community. You're expected to be this.
I wrote something like that in my piece. The piece I was telling you about, I wrote something like that in the last family.
It's some real shit. Like motherfuckers, like, look, I'm doing pretty okay for myself, but I'm not rich. Look, I consider myself poor.
Let me hold some. Haran.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And that's all I hear all the time. You know what I'm saying, I mean? And, girl, that's all I hear all the time. You know what I'm saying, I mean? And I consider myself poor. I'm just so happens I'm at that certain level of poor where I can help other poor people. But I ain't J, I ain't B. Nigga, I ain't their assistant. You know what I'm saying, I mean, most of the time. You know what I mean? But the point of the matter is that anytime a Black person is in a better position than the collective, there's this pressure for this person, man or woman, to carry the entire community, or at least a large sect of it, on his back. And I understand those people when they say, man, fuck this shit, because let's keep it real, Jay. You start resenting motherfuckers after a while. Because it's like it's like coming home, you got a big ass house that you work for, that you pay for, and you walk in this motherfucker, niggas is eating the Cheerios, motherfuckers is laid up out on the couch, there's kids running around in this motherfucker, and nobody got a job, nobody paying rent. Nobody's doing anything. You walking around talking about, what the fuck is going on? And somebody got the nerve to be like, hey, man, man, we got a problem, man. The motherfucking heat ain't working, man. What we gonna do? The fuck you mean we?
Right? I thought you had the sports channel on this cable. You know, got this.
They're like, I also have a television and a couch.
Hey,
You
what's that
don't.
Netflix password?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Crazy Legs is in the building. You in Vegas? Dinner and drinks on you, buddy. Boop. What's that?
The perks of beautiful women, man. The perks of being a pretty girl, man. You tell them motherfuckers, yeah, you pay it. That's what I'm saying.
No, he's
Yeah,
paying. He paying.
a beautiful woman will never know what it's like to be like without food. They
Look,
can literally get a
I use
meal,
this as a principle in
breakfast,
life
lunch, and dinner.
when I tell young people, the prettiest girl never has to buy her own drink. If you want to make it in life, be the most valuable motherfucker in the room, man.
Shit used to piss me off.
And
Women
people
drink
will
free at a
take-
bar.
people will
Women
take care of
drink
you.
free.
So welcome, Josh W. Good to see you, new subscriber. Salute to you, sir, Josh W. Gizmo Mario 1 says, no other immigrant group went through slavery on this land.
No, because they wouldn't be an immigrant now, would they? Like, but here's the thing. This is the shit that they don't tell y'all. Not a very large group of black people were enslaved in America. Everybody else kind of just got over it and made and either killed their slave masters or moved on and made a better, lives for themselves. Granted, these places were decimated and ruined and fucked up and so on and so forth. I understand that. But they realized that, and what did they do? They said, hey, this shit is fucked up. What should we do? Well, those black Americans aren't really doing too much with what's going on over there. So they went over there. If you're hungry, I'm like, damn, I ain't eating in a while. And I walk in the room and you got a rump roast on the table and you don't want it because it's not seasoned the way that you want it to be seasoned. And I'm hungry. And I eat the rump roast. Why am I in the wrong? I just took advantage of an opportunity.
Okay, so here's the thing with that.
What's wrong with that?
So here's the thing with that, right? When that's brought up, right? Oppression, racism, suppression, bias is not exclusive to Black people in America. And I know that really bothers some of you because you want it to be your identity, right? Unfortunately for you, anything of color that comes across that border is pretty much treated like shit, right? No, but they get benefits and they can apply for this, that, and the third, and blah, blah, whoop-de-whoop, right? They still get treated like shit because of the color of their skin, right? So here's my confusion. Somebody could clear this up for you. Anybody could clear this up for me. This was my confusion. I hear a lot, well, we were the only ones in this country that were slaves, right? Who's we? You? Who's we? What is this we? We were the only ones in this country that were enslaved. Who's we? That's what I want to know. Who's we? Because I would feel, I'm going to keep it 100. I would feel absolutely stupid to say, we got shot because we were waving this flag in Puerto Rico. We got shot. I didn't get shot. We were slaves. They took Puerto Ricans to Hawaii to pick sugar canes, but I wasn't there. I wasn't out on those fields. I wasn't there. So I would feel really stupid in 2023 with my freedom and all my faculties. I could come and go as it please. I could go to the gym. I could, you know what I'm saying? I could do whatever the fuck I want. And laying on or using as a crutch that my people were in Hawaii one time picking sugarcane against their will, or fighting in a civil war against their will, or being, shot in the back in Puerto Rico, or being poisoned in Vieques, or being, I would feel stupid. I would feel stupid saying I can't do something because that happened to them. And that's foreign talk to a lot of people because they want what happened to their ancestors. They want that to be the reason why today they're not doing what the fuck they got to do. And that's bizarro to me. And it's insulting to the people that actually went through it. But that's too much common sense for some people. They wanna rest on, yeah, but we was enslaved. Who's we? I really want somebody to answer that. Who's we? Were you? Were you? So when you live in a country with all the opportunity in the world, albeit there's tribalism and racism that happens all over the place, right? Not just here in America, it happens all over the place. Okay. And then these immigrants, as y'all say, come in here and start opening up businesses and restaurants and hair salons and, hair selling and all that shit. I mean, you really still going to use and these people barely speak English. When my father first came here, he barely spoke English from Puerto Rico. Okay. So what is your excuse that black people, Africans were slaves back in, like, I'm confused. But when people hear that, they get insulted. What are you trying to say? We should get over it. You don't have to get over anything, sir, ma'am. You were not a slave. I wasn't picking sugar cane. I wasn't running in the Capitol with Lolita LeBron. That wasn't me. So I just don't get it. It's weird to me. It's bizarre.
I give the utmost props to a lot of times people try to just spit on the legacy of our ancestors who went through slavery, who survived it, and so on, and whatever. Like, look, I give them the utmost props. I couldn't have been a slave. Like, I'm a terrible employee if you pay me. I can't imagine how bad I would be if I wasn't getting any fucking money. Like, you know what I mean? And I'd probably do all kinds of wild shit. I'd have got myself killed. I'd probably been getting head in the back with the slave master's wife. I most likely would have gotten myself killed in those kind of situations. So to sit there and belittle and think that you are equal to the atrocities or somehow benefit from the atrocities of slavery, it's kind of crazy because it's contradictory, because you can't benefit from the demand that you benefit from the atrocities of slavery, but then turn around and point at white people who benefit from the atrocities of slavery. You just want to benefit too, just on the other end of the spectrum. You don't want to necessarily forget what happened. You're seeing an opportunity. Just say that. Just say that you're seeing an opportunity to actually capitalize on something that happened in human history in your bloodline, and say, hey, this happened in my particular bloodline. I believe that I should benefit from this financially. And if you think that's a lie, then the whole reparations argument is stupid. But at the core of all this is what I'm saying. This continuously comes up because you have two sides of the fence that do benefit to some degree, or trying to benefit from a time in history that is just like the 1,000 other fucking moments in history when people were enslaved. And to Black Lexicon's statement in terms of that Black people would have did it for cash. Yeah, they most likely would have, but that's the kicker. White people wouldn't have paid because they didn't have to. And that's a whole nother discussion entirely. So if a motherfucker doesn't have to pay you, they're not. That's why immigrants are allowed into this country. That's why They're getting your jobs, because they'll take $10 while you demand 100. Okay, so nobody's getting rid of immigrants, bro, because these buildings, these infrastructures, all these things that you see, that is built on the sweat and the backs of immigrants, and it always will be. These major corporations will save money. They give a fuck about you, man. And that's both sides of the fence.
I will say that
Crazy Leg said, "I'm not in simp mode, Jen. I'm a guest, so you better play host." Well, here's the thing, honey. First of all, I don't deal with simps. Second of all, the men I deal with always take care of me. Okay, so I don't know what she's talking about. They don't come here to my town and say play host. Okay.
I will say this, and the guy's not going to like because I'm a white guy saying it, but I think that, listen, and this is not just slavery, this is in general, people in general, when they are not doing well, because I can talk from experience of wallowing in my own tears right now, blaming, when you look for an excuse to not blame yourself, because there, although slavery has had an impact, there are people, and I always bring back my two friends. One was an athlete; they were maternal twin. What is it, fraternal? Where they weren't identical. One was the athlete, one was the nerd. The nerd has 3 degrees as pharmacist in Atlanta. They didn't come from money. They were black. So there are ways. Now, I'm not saying that black people have it as easy as some white people, but I think to go back and say, well, we're being held down again, like it's a monolith, like, that somebody's holding, here's black people, let's hold them all down. I just don't think that, that's a built-in excuse for maybe not, and not everybody can, maybe not succeeding as well as you think you should. And not all people can, not all people are going to have that goal or find a way through. Jen, you're one that does. You said, I don't care what anybody says, I'm going to find a way to do it, whether someone's someone's looking at me and, being prejudiced or racist or not. I'm going to find a way to do it. And some people will stop at that roadblock and say, well, it's a racist society, and I can't do it because it's a racist society.
I mean, humans are tribal no matter what. Let me say, humans in your own community are tribal if they have more than you. Forget white people. Like, in your own community, if they have more than you, they want to get the fuck away from you. So human beings are tribal, which, again, I go back to, and then I'll pass the mic to James. I go back to, people keep saying a black community. Why is it that wealthy black people know very much that there is a line between them and this collective? Wealthy black people know very much there's a line between them and the black collective. So what is this black community that Umar mentioned? If you get with a white woman, you're taking money out of the black community. When, again, the dollar in the black community, how long does it last? What is it, 5-6 hours? And that's not, and that's in a community where there's black love and black couples. There ain't no white people in where the dollars, but there's no white people in there. So this is it's a bizarre argument. It's a bizarre argument. Welcome, James Oko. What say you?
Hey, how's it going?
What's up?
Good. Yeah, no, that's why I always wonder when Dr. Umar would talk about it, and he would say, hey, black man, you need to go, even if you're successful, it's not enough for you to be successful. You have to go and, go to the hood and mentor these kids and find all the single mothers and take care of your kids, and then go back to the hood and mentor their kids. You remember you had that show not too long ago about what Dr. Umar was saying. And I always wondered, like you said, it's like there are different classes and the classes don't really intermix like that. So that's why the successful brother would not be in front of the graduation stopping the shooting at the graduation, because he doesn't want to get killed. It's self-preservation, right?
I understand where you're going with this. Personally, I personally have no issue with mentoring young men from the community. I do so. I have done so. I don't pressure other black men to do so. I understand their qualms about it. That's your business. However, I do believe that there are some men, young men, who might be on a particular path and they just need a little nudge in the right direction in order to change their lives. Now, I'm not mentoring any grown ass man. That's where my issues lie. I'm not sitting down and having discussions with grown men who've made a long series of decisions in their lives and ruined their own lives, and they want some sort of sympathy. Now, when it comes to that, yeah. Now, also, I understand. Here's the thing that it just seems like a lot of brothers have turned on Umar since he has said those particular statements in terms of mentoring children or mentoring or getting involved with raising young men that aren't theirs and so on and so forth. I understand. Now, it seems like a lot of brothers turned on him when he said that. Prior to that, I saw a lot of brothers actually support him, be very supportive of him, be use a number of his talking points. But it just seems that when Umar sat there and had that conversation about the black man being accountable in his community, it seems like there was a shift. It seems like there was a shift. And the idea was that black women should hold their own selves accountable. The idea was that black men are not without some sort of ill. And there was a larger discussion that could have been had, but it was an opportunity to discuss that, yeah, we need to have a situation where black men are actually claiming leadership in the community. And when he was having this discussion, one of the brothers actually said, well, these women won't let us lead. So I give that to you right there. What do you think about that?
Well, that was a long question. Like, can you hit me a little more specific?
Essentially, I'm essentially saying at the end of the day, brothers are turned on Umar because he has called for them to be held accountable as having poor leadership in the black community. And we have said this a number of times on the show. So I'm asking you, how do you feel about that?
Well, yeah, a lot of brothers have kind of turned away from the whole Hotep thing, and the whole, we saw the whole Hotep movement, we saw the Brother Polites, and we saw everybody. But I think that what a lot of black men feel like is it's unrealistic, or we just don't like the messenger, because look at Umar, he's saying, marry a black woman, but you never married a black woman. You know what I mean? You have kids all over the place.
Wait 1 second. I need to cut you off because neither is Future. And motherfuckers big up Future and they down Russell Wilson. So let's not use that, because brothers like to use that little, little thing when it's to their benefit, when they're trying to when they're trying to win an argument. You're muted, sweetie.
Let me step in here for a second. Let me step in here for 1 second. Future is not preaching taking money to the black community and keeping money in the black community, and black men should marry black women. Let's not pretend that when the messenger is an issue. I know people say, don't think about the messenger, think about the message. That's unrealistic. I used to work in a gym. They were fat personal trainers. I don't want to be trained by a fat personal trainer. I don't give a fuck how skilled you are. I don't care. But I passed the NASM and I don't care. I'm not of that. I'm not of that crowd that's like, oh, forget the messenger. Listen to the. You have two baby mothers.
You're standing on a moral code with that. If you're going to stand on that moral, no, you're standing on a code with that in terms of you're standing on a statement of, I am not going to accept a fat person to train me, which makes sense. However, Future may not be standing on the concept of that Umar actually preaches. But I'm saying, if that's an issue, you should be calling everybody, by that shit. You should basically be holding everyone accountable. I'm going to hold Future accountable. I'm going to hold Nick Cannon accountable. I'm going to hold, Dr. Umar accountable. Because I can't hold Dr. Umar accountable and look at, Nick Cannon and be like, well, he doesn't really say like. So, Rod.
I'm going to say something that people are not going to like. Okay? People are not going to like this. Future and Nick Cannon are better than Umar.
Okay, and why?
This is why. Umar talks better than Future and Nick Cannon, right? All three men have baby mothers, multiple baby mothers. All three of them have multiple baby
Absolutely.
mothers. Only two of them have wealth they could pass down. The other one is asking people for money.
Okay.
So this is why I don't put Future and Nick Cannon. I mean, yeah, we could look at them and be like, hey, you never married any of these women, but they taking care of them. They're taking care of not only the women, but they're taking care of the children. Dr. Umar is camming up saying, I want gifts and donations. I want gifts and donations. And
Absolutely. Absolutely.
he's 50 years old, hasn't been married. So what is he doing economically? Get Umar up here. I'm ready to debate him now. You know, what is he doing economically for his community other than telling other Black men what to do? And don't get me wrong, what he's saying sounds great. What he's saying sounds great. Fix the community, blah, blah, blah. But it sounds like entertainment as well. Right? Future right now, one of his kids was 18 and said, I want to go to college. He could afford it without asking for gifts and donations.
My biggest issue right now is not, you know, it's not, I don't even bring up the kids. I want to know where the damn schools are. Where's the money that you've been collecting all these years for these schools? Where are they? Have they materialized? What's the point right here? No, I'm serious. Like where's the money on that? That was my main issue. But brothers jumped on well, he got 8 kids. Like, who gives it? Well, yeah, okay, we'll talk about that later. But was that money? Was the $100 somebody done gave or $1,000 somebody done gave? You know what I mean? 7 years ago. Somebody can have an embezzlement motherfucking claim on his hands. You know what I mean? In some term, I'm serious. Like, this motherfucker could have broke the law. This is
who's wrong in that? Because I know your attitude about shit, Haran. Who's wrong in that? The man that's yelling at the top of his lungs wearing a dashiki saying, "Give me
the motherfuckers who got pimped and conned, yes, but he should still be held accountable to some degree. I mean, come on, it is what it is. I'm not saying
it's happen, you know why?
Are without fault. I'm not saying that.
I agree with you. However, then we have to shine the light again on the community because the community loves a big motherfucker yelling into a microphone about right and oppression. And they don't give a fuck how corrupt that person is. They love like the Wizard of Oz. They love the eyes. Let me tell you about the white people.
Yeah, that's
exactly about the government.
Well, let me explain.
Hold on.
It's like Black people like loud, demonstrative singers like Patti LaBelle rolling around on the ground with her shoots off, fucking pull off a wig, yelling and shit like that. We like shit like that.
So kind of what I was gonna say is that from my observation, you know, you saw it with Polite, you saw it with you can see it in some of the conscious community channels that as soon as the money starts, somebody feels like they're getting ripped off. They're trying to expose the other guy. And I always felt that people like Umar are just simply, and happens in, it's nothing new. It's snake oil, right? He's selling a dream. That's all he's doing is selling a dream. He's selling a dream that he's got answers. It's almost like a religious leader. I've got the answers, like the Indian guy up in Portland who started his own community.
Joel
Osteen. He's selling a dream, and it's a dream that people really want, right? They want answers, and he's saying, I got answers. But, you know, and so that's what I've observed is like, wow, you know, because when I was watching, I was like, wow, these guys have some really good ideas. And then suddenly you find out they're conning people. And I was like, oh, it's the same. It's the same old. It's Amway. It's market level.
Those ideas are great. I mean, Umar. Let me tell you something. Umar is very entertaining and engaging, and he's absolutely he's kind of like that car wreck. Like it's like I can't stop watching this guy because he's so engaging. And then after the camera goes off, it's like, where's the school? Where's the money?
It's charisma. He's got charisma, and a lot of the people that can scam and milk your money have charisma and good ideas, but really no way to implement those ideas, and they have alternative motives.
And that's something we're going to have to, you know, if we, the Black community, whoever you want to consider it, if we're going to, you know, move to an area of competence, and we're going to be competitive, in the United States, we're gonna have to get past this hang up. We do, it comes from the past of like, the preacher was the only one that was allowed on the plantation to have any type of dignity and to wear a suit and to have his day where he could preach. And he was our first form of leadership. So we're used to emotionalism and someone being loud and crying and shouting and hooping. And so how does that translate nowadays? It translates, if you're going to be a black leader, you have to be ultra charismatic. Even Obama, you have to speak a certain type of way. And if they think you're not talking the way that they want, they're used to hearing black men talk, or you're not relaying your message in that emotional, over masculine, hyper masculine way, then they have a problem receiving the message from that person. So we're gonna have to get past that. We're gonna have to get past the optics, and we're gonna have to get past the basic stereotypes that we hold black men to, in order to find leaders that do have useful information, that are helpful, that might not come in the package you're comfortable with.
Well, here's the thing, from a human perspective, this is not race agnostic. From a human perspective, packaging means everything. How something is packaged, it does influence someone's idea of the situation. Now, I just want to speak on what Carl said. He said, we can't lie and say there isn't a concerted effort by the U.S. government to keep black people down. There's way too much evidence to refute that, especially declassified CIA documents. Now, here's the thing. Okay, yeah, I agree to it. I agree to what he's saying. But here's the other half of it. I'm ready to have these conversations when people are ready to understand and admit that the black church is in cahoots with the American government to keep black people impoverished. When you're ready to have those kinds of conversations, now we're ready to get to the thick of things. Because you see, what does removal from under the boot of your oppressor really mean? Does it mean, hey, man, can you just get off my neck? Or maybe we might just type in some shit, or we might do a little GoFundMe, or we might do a little survey and everything is cool. No, it's going to take a lot of things. It's going to take a reimagining of culture. It's going to take a denouncing of traditions. This is going to take a removal of a certain sect of people. This is going to take blood, whether it's physically or emotionally. It's going to take a lot of shit. Outside of that, if you're not ready to engage in all of the things that it really takes to really change things and really put black people in a much better position and not being in danger of being the permanent underclass, it's going to take a lot. Might even take your own life. If you're ready to have these kinds of discussions, then you're ready to go forward. But otherwise, everything else is just entertainment that you really should just sit back and enjoy. And the dumb motherfucker who said that Umar is the modern day Malcolm X is contingent, is indicative of just how just lost most motherfuckers are when it comes to these kinds of situations. That motherfucker ain't nowhere near Malcolm X. Sounds great.
I do agree with the person that said Dr. Umar needs a talk show, because I think that's his strength. Like, I think he'd be entertaining on a nighttime talk show, interviewing guests about race and politics and, entertainment. And I think he'd be great for a talk show. I do think so, because he is.
No different from any like white supremacist talk show hosts. You know what I mean? Yeah, give him a.
I was thinking the same thing. Rush Limbaugh,
a little whatever. Yeah.
So what are you saying, that Umar's a black supremacist?
Of course. Look. Don't let anyone ever tell you otherwise. Everybody's a supremacist. Everybody's a fucking supremacist. You go to your fucking job. If you go to your fucking job to work at a fucking place to say like, yeah, I'm going to be the lowest dude on the totem pole here, you're a fucking liar. Your idea is that you're going to go in there, you're going to kick ass, you're going to get a promotion, you're going to railroad and run over whoever the fuck you got to do to go get your promotions, get your raises, and so on. Because if you're not a supremacist to some degree, you're an insect. You're agreeing to be a fucking insect, and life is going to pass you by. Period. That's life.
Let me ask you something. let me ask you
I'm a
something,
fucking
Ramon.
supremacist. I'm a supremacist. I'll be probably be the only one to admit on this motherfucker. Yes, you know what I mean. I wake up in the morning and be like, how the fuck can I kick ass and whatever the fuck I choose to?
Okay, so let me ask you this, because I've heard you say
Yes.
it before about having a conversation, right? Like when we're ready to have that conversation, when Black people are ready to have that conversation, right? Why is there this constant, continuous nagging of the Black community coming together? Why? I keep asking. When I say,
Because there is that bit of bias. There is that bit of bias. I will admit that. There's that bias.
No, I understand, but I'm trying to get to the. I'm trying to get at the root. Trying to get at the root of the matter. In the Latin community, we have the worst of the worst, the underbelly, the ghetto. The people that are affluent aren't. They're not colliding. They're not hanging with them, and they don't want to hang with them. Same thing in the Asian community. Same thing in the white community. The affluent white people are not running to the meth trailer park to hang out with the poor white people. Why is it that Black people have this fucking torch? Like one day we're all going to come together. And when y'all ready to have that conversation about spending the Black dollar, no, there are people that spend frivolously and people that invest. And that is not race or ethnicity, ethnicity specific. So why is it that Black people are constantly beating this dead horse? We got to save each other. If you get rich, give me your money. You have to help. We need, why? It's beating a dead horse. Affluent Black people, Jay-Z and Beyonce don't give a fuck about the broke Black people in Harlem. Yeah, you're going to donate. All Stars donate. All Stars do charity. But is Beyonce going to hang with Keisha from the projects?
Absolutely
Because
not. Now, let me clarify. When I discuss these things, I want our number of successful Black people to be larger. I want to lessen the amount of degenerates that we actually have. I don't want the degenerates to be the face of the community. They'll always be there. It's just impossible to remove them. It's just sociology. You know, some people are just born losers. I just, due to the fact that there's not that many of us, it's already a minority. I just want more winners. That's pretty much what it is for me. That's the reason. That's my point of saying what I'm saying. Now, again, will there be a sect of us who are just, no matter what you tell them, no matter how hard you push them, they just can't get right? Absolutely. Their genes, just leave their genes to die off. But we need a bigger pool of successful people.
Right, but I think, in my opinion, first of all, what is it? Black people are 13% of this country? 13%? 13, 14%?
14, I think about 14%, but around that.
Okay, so in that demographic, because it's such a small demographic, is it unrealistic that you want more Black people to do better than they're doing when when Black people that are supposed to do better are doing better? Black people that are supposed to be successful, they are successful right now. People talk about Black Wall Street. Black Wall Street technically exists. It's just it's not in one neighborhood. There are a lot of Black millionaires and doing well. There are Black men and Black women who have great jobs, and they're Black couples that are together and loving and strong and having Black children and, you know what I mean, succeeding. What is this constant need for wanting to bring the underbelly with you? It's weird. I still don't. It does not compute in my brain.
Well, that's Umar's ethos. He wants to bring the underbelly with, you know what I mean, with the community. I don't give a damn about the underbelly. I just want more winners. That's it. I just want to increase the amount of people who are actually on the podium. That's it. Now, again,
isn't that unrealistic?
I don't think it's unrealistic to increase the number of productive Black people.
Here's why I say it's unrealistic. There's why I say it's unrealistic. Because you're wanting people to change their nature. That's like me saying, shit, I want more fucking successful people than Jennifer Lopez and Mark Anthony. I need more millionaire Latins. It's unrealistic. Now I'm asking a demographic of Latins to change their nature. They are not doers. They are not go-getters. They are not entrepreneurs. They're just not. So why?
Is that the controlling nature of? Is that me being controlling? Yeah, it probably is. It probably is. I will admit that. It's probably me being controlling when I say that. But I'm not going to sit here and say that I still don't want that number to increase. I do. Yes.
Sarah said that's a Black American issue. Caribbean and African Blacks don't mix with the bums of our ethnicity. But no,
Again,
that's
again,
Sarah. Nobody. There is not a race or ethnicity on planet Earth. I don't care where you go. The classes do not mix. That's why they are called class. Like they do not mix. But the black
but
people,
Jen,
we
we
have to
also
be weird.
we have, we have to keep something in mind here. Again, we come from a Caribbean community, and the underbelly is shamed. The underbelly isn't shamed in Black America. It's actually perched.
Elaborate.
Should I elaborate? Come on, man. The where we come from, where we come from, our parents teach us hard work, the respect for ideas, the respect for family, focus, all of the things that, ironically, when adopted by Black Americans in America, pushes them towards either the upper middle class or the upper echelon, the 10% of the community tend to have the same ethos that a lot of Caribbean people have. However, for just some strange reason, the underbelly is actually used and seen as the brand of Black people in the country. In fact, they
You're breaking up, Haran.
great
Let me.
Yeah.
job. Vast number of them can't. You know what I mean? Is it
Um.
me? Y'all can see me. I'm good.
Yeah, you good now.
And okay, so the point I'm saying is this: the underbelly is filled with illiterates. It's filled with the lazy. It's filled with with masses of degenerates and so on and so forth. However, excuses are constantly made for them. They're constantly put as the brand of the community. They're rewarded half of the time for this fucking behavior.
By
Where we're
who?
from,
By the government.
by other Black people in the community, and they're also in many ways helped by white liberals. They're enabled by white liberals. The white liberal media,
Okay.
enables their fucking poor behavior.
Yeah.
Now,
Can I
and
ask?
where we're from, that shit is shamed.
Can I ask you something?
That is
Since you
shamed. That
mentioned
behavior
it,
is shamed. So we are brought up and taught that excellence is the only thing that should be concentrated on. So I'm speaking from my conditioning and my upbringing, where it's like once the races are on, you should be concentrating on being excellent. Anything less is a fucking embarrassment.
well, yeah.
You know,
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, Aran, because I hear that sentiment a lot. I hear about, well, in the Caribbean, they have a different mindset, a different way of thinking. And I also hear that from like Nigerians in Nigeria, that come over there like, you African Americans, you don't think the way we think, we're not caught up on race like you guys. We're enterprising, we're hardworking. And the question I always kind of wonder, right? Because what they say is, hey, look, we're not going to blame stuff on white people. We're not hung up on slavery. That was so long ago. And the thing that I always scratch my head about is Nigerians, Africans, Caribbeans, if that's the case and you're so forward thinking, and I'm going to tread lightly here. This is a serious question.
oh, just say it, brother. Just say it. Just go ahead, bro.
Why are the economies of those countries doing so bad without blaming white people?
No. Actually, they've been ravaged, and a number of them are doing business with people that they shouldn't be doing business with. I'm not saying that. Look, listen. I'm not saying that they're not without their fault, but one can also ask, well, on the flip side, there's a vast amount of opportunity here in America, but Black people who have also helped to build the nation are still second-class citizens, who are actually about a good 2 or 3 years away from being bumped out of the goddamn, tree by immigrants. So that's the whole point, that you got everything you need here, and you still can't make nothing shake. It really should be why I'm asking you why you ain't doing shit. You got everything. Why are you allowing outsiders? Why are you allowing outsiders to come here and let necessarily make shit shake and leave? and
That's a heavy
leave and
counter.
be rich
That's a heavy counter. That's a
and
heavy.
leave
Woo.
and be rich in their farm and being rich in their home countries. Because a lot of them get money, pounds of it, then leave. So that's my
Yeah,
question. Like, you got
Send
all
it
this
out.
shit in.
Send it out.
and I just want to say that that's not a real good analogy, because different countries don't have the same resources. They don't have the same government that allows
Absolutely
them
not.
for. Some of them are working under dictatorships. There's a lot of European countries that are in the same boat, poor, under dictatorships, don't have resources. So it's really to say that, well, why couldn't you do it in an island versus a country that's, huge with vast amount of resources and a built up economy?
Well, Africa has a lot of resources,
but they're not united, dude. They're
but
separate
why?
countries.
That's what I'm saying. Why not? That's what I'm trying to say.
Because they're not the same. Everybody's not the same. Like, it's like saying, why aren't we together with a different country over in Europe, cooperating? Like Romania or something like. Well, it's different people with different ideas, and also different people ruling these different countries that aren't going to give up the power so easily. Yeah, that's all. I mean,
This is what I'm saying. If you look at African Americans, right, and their GDP, it's higher than a lot of these countries. So African Americans produce a lot and produce a lot of money. So what I'm trying to say is, if these people come up from these places and they say, you're lazy, you guys don't do what you're supposed to. What I'm saying is, if they're so capitalistic and so enterprising, why don't they help their own countries? Like, because no, if the idea is no excuses, if the idea is you're not a victim, why do we so quickly dismiss these people in these countries as being victims of their
Because I'll tell you
government?
this right now. I'm going to explain it to you right now, James, because you have everything that they don't have, and you still can't seem to get it together here for your community. What's your excuse? You have everything you need. You can vote. You can start your own businesses. You can buy. But wait. You can buy black. You can vote in black councilmen. You can do every single thing. If you think about it, black Americans and white people built this country. Why is everybody else outside of black people essentially to some degree the shit, but black people are still weren't, behind the talk, just rungs down the financial and socioeconomic totem pole. You have access to everything. Now, the people on the other side of the globe, to ask them to put together, some sort to put together some sort of situation to get everyone out of the situation that they're in. How are they going to do that without resources, James? These motherfuckers don't have
resources, bro.
They don't have no James. I don't think you know that. Do you know what a shanty town is? Have you ever lived in one? Have you ever lived in a shanty town, James? Have you ever lived in one? Do you really know what real poverty? Do you know what real poverty? No, I'm talking about places like Jamaica. Do you know what real poverty is? Do you know there's places in the world where $1 American is worth like maybe $42? You know what I mean, on their homeland? Do you understand that?
I think there are two conversations going on. That's what I think. I think there are two conversations going on. If you're coming from a country that in general is just poor, right? Your hands are literally tied versus born and raised in the United States with opportunity up to your gills and you squander it. It's two different conversations. So you can't say, oh, why not in Nigeria or Jamaica? Why aren't they affluent? Why isn't it a city of gold and diamonds? Those are poor places. However, those people, and not all, please don't get at me, but those people will still come to America and blow up here and do what they have to do soon as their feet hit the ground. So that's the question, right? So we're having two different conversations, different government, different voting, different law, different. It's different. However, they come here barely speaking the language, and they take us to the point of sending money back to their family.
So this is the thing. If they can't do something in their own country, right? Let's say Ghana or Kenya or Nigeria, okay? if their country is so obsolete, so poor, and so lack of resources, then why can't China go over there and make money and extract resources from their country? Why can the French go over there and make money in their own countries, but they can't?
You're asking why a richer
We're
country
talking
is able to
politics. You're
basically.
talking a lot of politics.
Yeah.
You're asking
But
why a richer
listen, I
country
want to
is
say
able
something.
to exploit another country. Is that essentially what you're saying? Like China, like
That's what he's
China's
at.
able to do that?
No,
That's
China
what
went over. China went over to Africa, and they've made a lot of money. What I'm saying is, it's funny. All I'm saying, it's funny because we hear about African Americans and you're victims, and you don't want to take self responsibility. But it's so funny because when I hear these groups talk about their own countries, they act like they have no agency in improving their own country. And they just say, oh, well, you know what? Our hands are free, even though we're seeing Chinese nationals coming over here, Indian nationals coming over here. Like, if you go to Africa, you'll see all other type of people coming in your country, eating off your country. But you don't, but you act like you have no agency in one of the most nutrient, mineral rich countries in the world, which is Africa. You can't do anything.
But now you're
Okay.
talking about military and politics, and now
You're talking about the fact that China has lent them and built infrastructure that's shit.
That's exactly
and now
what it
these
is.
and now these countries are indebted to China. They've been swindled. But what I want to say is, what you're saying, what I see is, so if you want to talk about Jamaica and some of the, and from my experience, Colombia is in their countries, if they have any kind of economy, it's cutthroat. And they have to work hard to keep their job. They really don't have a lot of rights. If you don't do your job, you'll be out on the street, right? So they have competition. So that's why they can come here and kick ass, because they know what real opportunity versus, and they know what poverty looks like, and they know, and they've been growing up in a society where you have to bust your ass. So they come here and it's already built. Where in this country, and I'm talking about Erica. I knew I told her when she was scared about going to work, I said, you are going to run circles around anybody in America, with very few exceptions, white, black, Chinese. If they were born here in their second, third generation, you were going to run circles around. And she does. She runs circles around people. And nobody wants her to leave a job if she's thinking about leaving, because she's got that. She was born in a place with limited opportunity, and she comes here. But when you're born here, you don't see that. And that's white, black, and it doesn't even matter. You're white. You don't necessarily see that. You were born into it, and it's kind of like, well, this is the way it is in the world, but it really isn't in other countries.
Oh, I got you. I understand now. So in those other countries, there are forces beyond themselves, and the system is holding them back.
yes.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Yes, because yes, because I know where you're going. Yes.
Gotcha.
Now
Okay.
you want that to be the Black American experience, though there are Black millionaires here, there are Black doctors, there are Black lawyers, there was a Black president, there are Black billionaires, but you want the Black experience here to be comparable to Nigeria. That's what you want because of slavery, right? That's where you were going with it. The system is holding you back. Who held back? Jay-Z, Beyonce, Robert Smith. I'm talking about real estate moguls, not just entertainers, not just athletes and singers that are making millions and billions of dollars here. There are Black billionaires in this country too that have nothing to do with entertainment. Okay, they're real estate moguls. So you can't keep using the system is against us, because these Black people grew up in the same system that you grew up in and every other Black American grew up in. So you see how it doesn't. That's why the excuse is so absurd. Now, if no one's ever done it, then you can say, man, look at the oppression. No one's ever made it here. Obviously, there's something afoot.
Right. So,
in a country
look,
where
I just want to say something real quick.
Billionaires.
Well, I just want to say something real quick. Wait 1 second, James, wait 1 second. I just want to say something real quick. A lot of times we make jokes about Asians and we're like, oh, in terms of them being smarter than everyone and so on. Well, it's not. Well, genetics aside, let's just think for a second that maybe the reason why they are considered some of the smartest people on the planet is because their ideas and their approach to education are far more refined and far more serious than Americans. Americans are very lax when it comes to education. Now, we can sit here and flip that and put that on the black community and say, hey, they say, black people are great at sports and physical, activities and so on and so forth, even entertainment. Well, again, genetics aside, we can say that yes, but also entertainment is such a big thing in the black community. Education is not necessarily a big thing in the black community. So it's really about where the culture puts its priorities. Now, again, the point I'm making is that people in impoverished countries, in the Caribbean and in areas of Africa, their priorities are in spaces where that will lead them to better situations through education, through building their own businesses, so on and so forth. They have different priorities. What are the priorities here in the black community? And if they are not conducive to the social mobility of the community, then they need to sit down and do an audit. They need to sit down and ask themselves the questions, well, what are all the priorities in our community that can take us to where we need to be? Or we assume that we want to be.
I wanted to address this real quick. Marcos Chas said like 3 or 4 times, Jen, look how Jews stick together. Jen, look how Jews stick together. Jen, look up Israel. Look how they help each other. So let me say this, right? Because I know every time we talk about the black community, the Jewish people pop up, right? I need a Jewish bell. So here's the thing. When I hear that, it's weird to me because black people stick together. Black people stick together. Okay. I hang out with all kinds of people, attorneys, law enforcement, entertainers. And I walk in a room and there's nothing but affluent black men in there. And they all know each other. They're usually part of the same frat or the same company. They all look out for each other. This one is golfing with this one. They're all golfing. It's 4 or 5 men golfing. Black people stick together. Same Latin people stick together. White people stick together. Asian people stick together. I don't want us to keep confusing the demographics. Classes don't stick together. I think you're confusing class. Okay, but there are plenty of black people that stick together, just like the Jewish people stick together. Now, riddle me this, Batman. In the Jewish community, if they had an underbelly of Jewish people who weren't religious, who were always doing drugs, who were always fucking off, who were always tearing up their neighborhoods, do you really think that those Jewish people you're talking about are going to stick together with them over there? It's not happening. It's not happening. Jewish people that stick together are going to turn their back on the ones that are in the street running amok. They're not going to stick together. It's not, the Jewish people isn't some magic land where it's like they stick together no matter what.
And Jen, why did they do that?
Together?
And Jen, why did they do that? Because guess what? If they associate themselves with those motherfuckers that are actually going nowhere, collectively speaking, they're essentially tarnishing their own brand. So it's essential that you create some sort of separation. It's essential. Right. So at the end of the day, I'll just say this: your problem ain't with me, not the anchor babies. Your problem ain't with them. It's the motherfuckers that making y'all look bad out here. It's the motherfuckers who out here doing the ratchet shit. It's the people out here who aren't taking care of their children. It's the people out here who aren't actually focused on actually uplifting the community. They just want to do degenerate shit. That's your enemy. But you won't call that person out.
Well, I gotta agree really quickly. I want to agree with that because Sarah C is echoing the statement. She said, Black Americans embrace degeneracy. Africans and Caribbean folks look down at the bone. 100%. This is 100% true. Go to any blog. Okay, with Krishan Rock, Meg Thee Stallion, what's the other girl? The Cardi B, the Ice Spices. And let me tell you something. Go in those comments and try to say something sideways about any of them ratchets. Go ahead. The Sexy Reds. Go look at a comment. Go look at a post where Sexy Red is twerking, cocked open on stage, fully pregnant, looking and sounding like hot garbage. Go in there and say this is a bad representation of our community of Black women. Go in there and see what's going to happen to you in those comments. They will tear your ass up defending that woman and upholding her like a Black queen. And therein lies the issue. So we cannot deny that what Sarah's saying is fucking true. Even in my community, Puerto Ricans, my father was like, I wish one of y'all would go hang out with one of the fucking Puerto Rican tecatos on the corner. I wish I would pull up from work and see one of y'all over there and see what's going to happen. That is what happens in our community. So we can't deny it. We cannot deny that Black women uphold degeneracy.
I'm going to tell y'all something that a lot of people don't know. Do you know Rastafarians were considered the underbelly in Jamaica? It was considered that anyone who wore their head in locks hair, you were a virago. They call it a virago. Essentially, you were the filth of the community. Just so happens that Bob Marley explodes, and all of a sudden, everybody thinks that everyone in Jamaica runs around with fucking dreadlocks. Because the underbelly of it actually was given media attention. So that is what's happening to you. The underbelly of your community is given media attention. So that is why as you say, James, the Pookies are preferred as opposed to you with the, you know what I mean? You got your MIB glasses on, your nice, you know what I mean, suit and shit like that. They are more so preferred and seen as Black than you are. So again, this is about the branding of the community if you really want to get down to brass tacks of it. And that has nothing to do with us. Because again, if it was really, it should be a situation where you should be denouncing that shit and you should actually be sitting there and shaming it. But it doesn't happen.
So, and I just want to say to the people that always are bringing up, there's a couple things I want to say, but the people always bringing up the Jewish thing. Let's call it for what it is. They're Eastern, most of them are Eastern European immigrants, and they're no more than the Nation of Islam. They surround themselves around people who eat the same foods, have the same customs. They have a culture. So when we say the Jews stick together, not really, because they're white, and they stick together with their religion and their customs and those type of things. But in reality, they're no more than there's no such thing as a Jew. It's just a made up thing, right? They're Eastern European. Secondly, some of them are Black and Ethiopian, as we know, claim. Another thing is, James, if Haran walks in, or most people, walk in and go to get a job or go to apply a job, the first question is, are you African American? Are you West Indian? Are you Nigerian? No, they see him as a Black man. So
absolutely,
it's got to be something else. It's got to be the way he grew up and the way he was raised, and to be the best that he can be. So there's something to what they're saying, as far as what he's talking about when it comes to, and the fact that his parents grew up in a place where there was an opportunity, and they know how to, when they came to America, they see opportunity, and nothing's going to stop. And it looks quite easy because where they came from, everything came with a lot of sweat and tears for very little gain.
So to answer your question, Marcos Chaz says, who owns the record companies, Jen? The people that own the record companies are the ones that worked to own the record companies. That's who owns the record company.
And also, the people who own the record companies are the people that you allowed to fucking own the record companies. Why didn't you go own one? Why didn't you? And why did you sell your music over to them?
Yeah,
like we have to really stop that idea that every single Black person who signed a record deal signed it under duress. He signed it at gunpoint, or he was having his ankles held over a balcony like Big Red and shit like that. It doesn't happen that way. Motherfuckers willingly sign up.
But can I ask you this though, Haran? Because
yes.
Do you don't believe at all, like, the media companies, they do, control what gets put out, and they do feel like a certain image of Black people is more profitable. Now, I heard Jen say, oh, well, when Black people get the businesses and they get the media companies, they do this too, because that's been seen as what's most profitable. So the real question is, why is it that white America, and mainstream America sees degeneracy of black people, and why is that so marketable to white people? Why is that so profitable?
You really
Why
want the
is it so
answer to
popular?
that? Because black people uphold it. Black people uphold degeneracy. Black people are
How?
entertained by degeneracy.
Isn't it
The bigger
cyclical?
question,
If
the
that's
bigger
the
question
media
is
that's being put out to them, isn't that cyclical? If you're a kid and you're seeing Future, or all you see is an NBA player, or all you see is Sexy Red, doesn't media affect culture? So isn't it a cyclical thing? At some point, don't we have to say, hey, can we cut this from the root? Can we cut out this music? Can we outlaw this culture that promotes degeneracy? Are we not going to say that media doesn't affect culture at all?
no,
And
we're not.
these
We're
rappers and
not
stuff
doing
that we see.
anything.
I'm not saying
No,
that.
let's make it clear. We're not doing anything. You and the rest of your black people are going to have to figure that out because they're making you
Yeah.
look bad. We already established that I'm from. See, we already established that I'm from Jamaica. Okay, you made that very clear. Okay, so this is a you thing.
No,
Okay,
this ain't a me thing. No, 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 no.
because
No, I'm
people
a
love
first
doing that shit.
generation.
People love speaking
I'm a
French when they need
So
help.
this is the last comment I'm gonna address. Intelligent Allah says people commenting on hip hop are the litmus test to you black people. That's the litmus test now. And I love when people have this argument because they make it sound like degeneracy in the black community is a tiny little thing. No, degeneracy is taken all the way up to sitting across from presidential candidates in this country. Let's not fucking act like degeneracy in the black community is front and center and mainstream representative of your community. Don't get mad at me. Don't get mad at me. Okay. When you have people, okay, like a motherfucking Cardi B sitting across from a presidential candidate representing the community, don't tell me it's a litmus test for black people. It is mainstream black culture in this country, maybe not Nigeria or, the Jamaica or whatever. In this country, Black Americans are represented by degeneracy and most defended degeneracy in this country. So don't talk about it's a litmus test. You know good and goddamn well that degeneracy in this country for black people is fucking mainstream. Did they get a scholar to sit across from the presidential candidates when they're running? When what's her face? The white lady, the fucking white lady, lock her up. The fuck is this white lady's name?
Hillary Clinton.
Clinton.
Hillary Clinton.
Okay. Yes, Hillary Clinton. Okay. And these people, who do they target so they can get the vote of many black people? Who do they target? Do they target black scholars or do they target Meg Thee Stallion, Cardi B, Chrisette Michele, 50 Cent, Don King? Who do they target? Why do they target, as politicians, why do they target the degenerates? Because they know the degenerates in the black community are upheld. So don't bring me no fucking don't bring me no black girl that has a high IQ. Don't bring me that. Bring me Cardi B, because those black women, they love them some Cardi B. So bring me Cardi B. So don't tell me it's a litmus test. Don't tell me that the bloggers that's a litmus test. You know good and goddamn well black degeneracy is mainstream in this country. Now it becomes like what James said, cyclical. It's what came first, the cart. I mean, the cart before the horse, or which one? It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, black people have to stop seeing degeneracy as something that's lucrative. But that's not going to happen because, again, it goes back to that's like asking someone to go against their nature. And this is why I bring up black people that now have streaming networks. They are now acting like the white people that were allegedly the enemy. Remember the white people were the enemy? Look how they're putting us out there. They're putting us out there as prostitutes and drug dealers. And go, look at what the white people are doing. Well, guess what? Now black people have the power, and look how they're putting black people out as degenerates, as twerking chicks, as side chicks, as women that are fighting each other and pulling off each other's lace fronts. Now black people are doing it. So now it's going to get tricky blaming white media, because now black media is doing the same thing. So it's going to get a little tricky now blaming white media. Going back to what you said, James, yeah, media does shape a culture. So now what say you when black people, part of media, are not putting these people on a pedestal as well?
I mean, we love to talk about, and myself included, I bring up the fact that the Africans sold us into slavery. But what isn't often discussed is that there were black slave owners. Some of you motherfuckers might be the descendant of a black slave owner.
Hold on a second. Let me say one thing real quick. So, Jen often talks about how her dad was dark, right? And how he, clearly they have African descent or whatever.
Absolutely.
If we went back 200 years from now to 1823, if Jen wanted to if she achieved any type of success, if she wanted to get her father, she would have to buy him. And guess what that would make her? It would make her a slave owner back then. So we have to talk about the context. We're not talking about the context of these slave owners. If you went to the north and you achieved success and you came back down south, Haran, to buy your mom or your wife or your kids, you would be a slave owner.
Wait, hold on a minute. Wait, he said my father first.
Okay, go ahead.
Let me write for the Garcias real quick. You are correct. I would have to buy my father, but guess what's not happening now? My father's not for sale. It is 2023, and I have the same 24 hours as any other rich white motherfucker in this country. Point blank, period.
But we were talking about slave owners.
What I would have had to do way back then has absolutely no bearing on anything that's going on now. Really quickly, hold on, James.
Hold on for a second.
Cardi B is not Puerto Rican. She's part Dominican and part some sort of West Indian. However, her fan base is black women. Take it from a Puerto Rican. I'm around Puerto Ricans all the time. We do not say, yo, throw on that Cardi B. She caters to black women. Her demographic is black women. For the record.
And when we're having these discussions, and James is not incorrect by saying what he's saying. But I always notice that anytime it's time to put black people's feet to the fire and their dealings in this dynamic, there's always a disclaimer. Yeah, she was up here when I was discussing African, Muslims' involvement in the slave trade. There was some sort of disclaimer. It always sounds as if, well, they was just doing what they had to do. Come on. Okay, everybody wasn't buying back their daddy. Let's just call it what it is, James. Okay. Did it happen? Yes. Yes. Did it happen, James? Yes. But was everybody buying back their daddy? Was everybody buying back their son? No. That's the point I'm making here, James.
But look, that's what I'm saying. If we had to imagine if we move nuance from everything. So imagine if I said, well, men and women both get raped. No, at some point you got to be like, look, compared to women, it's a way smaller, infinite, whatever that word is, a small amount of men rape compared to women. How come when we talk about slave ownership, black people, the history of slavery, how come we never use that nuance? How come we never use the nuance of, well, the majority of people enslaved were black? You know what I mean? Like, it minimizes. That's the only thing. I never get why people want to minimize slavery. We don't have to dwell on it, but in order not to dwell on it, that doesn't mean we have to minimize it. No,
I don't think
we don't have to apologize for it.
No, James, I don't think we're minimizing it. We're speaking factually. Factually, you're not a slave right now. I'm not a slave. My dad's not on the auction block. Like, we're just dealing with reality and present time. So no one's diminishing it. I think that you want to make it, with the issue with the subject of slavery is that people want to make it synonymous with why black people aren't doing well today. And you can't do that. You know why? Because slavery is no longer happening. They're no longer enslaved. So that is nonsensical. That doesn't mean that it's being diminished. It means that it's not happening today. Now, people argue, but it's in the genes. It's in the in the genes of the brains when they develop, and that's why no, it's the cat's out the bag. There are black millionaires and billionaires in this country. There are black families that are thriving. Black families, black men married the black women that are thriving and doing very, very well. Entrepreneurs, scientists, doctors, you name it. Real estate moguls, media moguls, all black, all blackity black black. So
So
you keep talking about the nuance of slavery, in my opinion, is silly. It is not happening. The cat's out the bag. There's a lot of successful black people. So it just sounds dumb. Sounds like an excuse for why you're not doing what you're supposed to do. And I don't mean you specifically personally, but it's used as an excuse too often, and it's dumb. It falls on deaf ears.
I feel you on that, and I'm gonna leave that at that. I gotta dip out of here. Happy New Year to y'all. Happy birthday. Hope you have
Thank you.
fun this weekend. Okay. I'll talk to y'all later. Okay.
All right. Thanks, James.
One of the things that I
Okay.
want to say, I just want to say one last thing.
Okay.
It's in terms of the passport bros. And
Oh.
their reasoning, most of them have is that American black women miss the mark in some fashion. Yeah, and my question has always been, well, why didn't you just get a black woman from another area of the country, another area of the world? Why are you just immediately going to get a non-black woman if it's a cultural thing? If black women here in America are poisoned, if their ideas are poisoned, why don't you try out a black woman in another country? Why do you have to immediately go to an Asian? Why do you immediately have to go to just anyone? Basically, a black woman, a non-black woman. Why do you have to go to a non-black woman? That's what I always found peculiar, because they're often talking about a lot of these guys are often talking about the importance of community and the community and so on and so forth. But it's like the moment you get an opportunity to leave the community behind, like a lot of rich black men, you do the fucking same. It's just, you know what I mean? Is this making sense in what I'm saying? I just find it just very peculiar.
Yeah, it's making sense, but again, there are a lot of excuses that people use to do what they want to do. If I can't make it, it's slavery. If I can't find a woman here, it's because of black women. Let's blame black women. When no, in reality, is you can't compete with the men in your country. There are plenty of black men here married to black women. I believe that it's something like 80% of black men married the black women in this country, but you couldn't find one. It means that you can't compete in your own country with your own race. Because 80% of black men marry black women. No one talks about those stats aren't touched. With that said, on the Block with Jen Cash App, if you want to support the show and you enjoyed this evening, okay, on the Block with Jen Cash App, on the Block with Jen Gmail, on the Block with Jen Instagram. I am on the Block with Jen all across the board. Come back for my birthday. My birthday is on Friday. I think we'll be live for my birthday. And that's going to be on Friday. All right, guys, this was a freaking really good, great debate. I hope we covered, should your dating preference benefit your community? Did we cover that enough?
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
These subjects always fucking devolve into where we are anyway, even when we fight it.
Slavery and Jews. No matter what we talk about, it devolves to slavery and Jewish people stick together.
Is the slavery or why nobody should get married? It's either one of the two of those.
And Jewish people, I need a Jewish bell.
Yes.
I need something that goes Mazel Tov. So whenever they enter the room, it's Mazel Tov. Guys, come back tomorrow. What's tomorrow? Thursday?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll be back Thursday, and also for my birthday on Friday. We're gonna rock out. We're gonna rock out this year. We're gonna close out. A lot has happened. All right, guys. No saying. You got any parting words? Because we close. Yeah, I need more time. There you go. Haran, you think I'm cute? You think I'm cute?
Yes, Janicia, you're very cute.
All right, guys, hit that like and subscribe on your way out the door. Thank you for joining us. Be good. If you can't be good, be careful. Hopefully, Lily will be back tomorrow to turn up with us. All right, guys. Good night.